So hey everyone, it is Chris with Spy Living, and since the beginning of this year, I've been on a weight loss tear. As of recording this video, I'm down over 30 pounds, and my lab result means I'm on zero medication for my health. So no blood pressure medication, no cholesterol medication, nothing. Perfect. Now, if you look at my older videos, you will see I had let myself go, and I have really no one to blame for that but myself. But instead of whining and complaining, I decided I needed to do something about it, especially when the doctor was pushing me to start going on some medication, and I did not want to. Now, one issue I had is as I was getting older, my old tricks weren't working, meaning working out like a fiend and watching my weight drop, it just wasn't happening. Instead, I started exploring different options. And a commercial on TV changed things up. See, my wife saw a commercial for Noom, and I told her I would try it out with her. So let me tell you, having someone in your household you can participate with and support you in your journey can help your success rate quite a bit, regardless of the program you decide to go on. And in fact, she's also dropped 25 pounds herself. Now, if you see the commercials on TV, you'll notice they really target women for the program. So the question is, and I had the same one, does it work for men? And what are my thoughts on it as a man? So let's go over my take and see if it's something you should check out. And even if you're on the fence, they have a 14-day trial that will allow you to see what it's like for yourself. Now, the first thing that I like about the Noom program, and it's not a points-based system or where you have to order food. Ultimately, they're trying to teach you how to eat and how to look at food, hunger, and doubt. You just have to spend about 10 minutes a day reading what they have to say for you, making your step count, and logging your food, and you will make progress. Now, they also have a specialist that checks in on you and answers questions for you. In addition, they also have groups you're paired with, but to be honest, I never used it. But for some of those that need a little extra help and a little extra venting, it's definitely something useful. But because my wife and I did it together, we were able to bounce ideas and concerns off of each other. Now, I like that it was completely app-based. You have to run it through your smartphone, which is great since, let's face it, we always have it on us. So you track your meals, you track your weight, and even the number and steps and exercise that you do, you track that in the app. See, I even have it here right now. So they emphasize the idea of caloric density to help you lose weight. And the best example is take a cup of broccoli versus a cup of pasta. The cup of broccoli has a total of 30 calories versus the cup of pasta having over 200. Both fill your stomach about the same amount, but one has more calories than the other. And what a lot of people like about it, and what my wife liked about it, they don't tell you what you can or cannot eat. They just want you to be aware of what you are taking in. So if you need that ice cream after dinner, you can do that, but maybe having a quarter of a cup versus eating directly out of the container. It's especially useful if you have a hard time with food restrictions. To help you along, they label foods as green, yellow, and red. So it's a simple way to keep you thinking about foods. Red foods might be maple syrup, ice cream, cake, and ironically, they kind of encourage you to eat a little bit of red foods every day just so you're not depriving yourself of foods you love. But it's all about making you acutely aware of what you're eating. Overall, the system is designed to teach you to be self-sufficient, which is really the best way to do it. It's a different approach than the other systems that are out there. You need to buy into their system, and I really appreciated the approach. So it's unlike some of them where you count points and you have to keep figuring out the points of their system, this is teaching you how to eat and how to understand things. Now, was it perfect? No, and I'll be honest, no system is. Realistically, it's very targeted towards women, and you can tell this in how they write and the examples they use. It deals with a lot of emotions, and it is very heavily targeted towards women. For example, I don't have a favorite pair of heels that I wear, so some of those examples didn't work well for me. The food logging system is not as sophisticated or as detailed as some other food logging systems, which is fine. You can adapt. I also had some issues with the color classification systems. I had a couple times where the exact same foods would be green in one instance, but yellow in a different one. And there were a lot of things that weren't in the system, but I think as they continue to grow, it will get better. I think the biggest issue I had from a food perspective was their classification system, in the green and yellow items and the things that we were eating most of, right? As an example, my wife wanted yogurt sometimes, and the high sugar, low fat yogurts were considered green or yellow, while the higher fat, lower sugar yogurts were considered yellow or in some cases red. But we were trying to be conscious of the amount of added sugar, so I had to convince my wife the higher fat, lower sugar yogurts would keep her fuller longer and not cause the sugar rushes and crashes that you get from those added sugars. In some respects, you could be guided into eating higher sugar diet, which is what has gotten our country into kind of the weight loss morass it is to begin with. So ultimately, you have to modify the diet to work for you. So what did we do? I had a lot of control over our diet and exercise regimen. And while I appreciated the food classification system, I opted for what many would consider kind of a quasi-modified paleo diet. We literally quit eating processed food outside, let's say, minimally processed food, such as like peanut butter that we would have at night. So we seldom have noodles and we seldom have bread anymore. Unless we're at a nice restaurant. We try and have a very whole food type of diet. So nothing out of a box. Even soup, for example. We got rid of all our canned soup, and I make chicken vegetable soup once a week that I have for lunch. We started out walking 2,500 steps a day, but quickly moved that to 10,000 steps a day or more, which actually is between 3 and 5 miles a day, and I also lift weights 2 to 3 times a week. Food consisted of a lot of chicken and shrimp, and when we had beef, I would use leaner cuts of beef, let's say a New York strip or sirloin, over, let's say, a ribeye, which has significantly more caloric density. And breakfast was literally the same thing, and it's still the same thing every single day, which is 2 hard-boiled eggs, 1 serving of quick oats, and a 1/4 teaspoon of real maple syrup. Dinner is realistically where we had the most variety. We've eaten sweet potatoes, chicken, shrimp, vegetables, and lots of fruits for snacks. And we even had dessert, but instead of having like a big dessert, we would go and share a scoop of ice cream together. And here are the results. You can see I'm down over 30 pounds. My blood pressure is 120 over 80 or even lower at times. And I don't have to see the doctor for another year. And ironically, I'm actually eating better quality food, yet spending quite a bit less money on it. Also, clothes fit much better, and I can see more muscle definition from the workout and the less fat that I have on my body. One of the other added benefits I get from doing this is because we actually walk so much. I walk my wife to and from work every single day. I'm talking with her quite a bit more. We're reconnecting, not like we had a bad relationship to begin with, but we were connecting even more. And we're discovering new restaurants and parks we would never have seen. And because I drive less, I only fill up gas about once every 6 weeks now. So I stopped snoring, my wife's asthma has almost completely disappeared, and believe it or not, even the dog has lost weight. So from Noom's perspective, we are a huge success. They say on average people lose 18 pounds, and with my 30 pounds and my wife's 20 plus, we're going to skew that average much higher. So do I think you should try it? You bet, absolutely. You have a 14-day trial to see, and there's no reason not to try and see what results you're going to get in those 2 weeks. And if you want a few recipes I used, I have a link on my website with a small little ebook that you can download with a few recipes and a few other things that we use. And just so you know, if you do sign up, New is providing me a little bit of compensation if you sign up, and only because I reach out to them after the success that I had. It won't cost you anything, but it does help me cover the cost of doing these videos. So what do you think? Have you tried Noom? Do you want to try Noom? Go ahead and leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. But I feel like there's nothing to stop you from trying it. It worked really well for me. I would love to hear what your comments were. So leave a comment below. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.